At this time, if people's names aren't leaked, if information isn't leaked, the world will learn about it on November 13th. There is a way in which the world is 100% no stopping it going to learn about it on November 13th for the congressional hearings. Now, there's a dramatic way that can happen and an undramatic way.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Cosmic Rabbit. As you can see, I got a new microphone. Bear with me on my awkwardness with that. So I wanted to basically talk about the episode that Weaponized did today, and that's Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp. Likely I'll be uploading this tomorrow, so maybe you guys have watched it already. And it's got a lot of pretty impactful stuff. They also mentioned a couple of concerning things basically regarding their safety. They both basically mentioned that not because of this Immaculate Constellation, but just before when I'm guessing like a few years ago, have put in place what they're calling a dead man switch. Now, Ross Coulthart had also mentioned something along those lines, or having that, and that's basically their insurance on if anything happens to them. They've got several points of contact that are going to release a lot of information that's going to feel or look like catastrophic disclosure. So that's a little concerning that they're having to do things like that. So yeah, that was part of what they talked about today. So what I found to be really interesting, the report by Schellenberger was deemed to be legit since he is known to be a very credible reporter. Basically, his report on this Immaculate Constellation was huge news within the community. If you guys are just getting into this, there's going to be a lot of information that's kind of all over the place, and it takes some time to kind of go through everything. So basically, this is a new USAP. To be honest with you, I have not gone over the full report by Schellenberger. It is something that I want to do, and I will report back on that to give you more details on it. But basically, it's talking about a kind of like an umbrella program that has been operating under the radar and has a lot of different UAP type programs associated with it. If you want to know more about it, though, I know a few channels have already talked about it, one being Vetted, another being Psicoactivo, as well as Post Disclosure World. So I'm sure you guys can check them out over there in the meantime. All great channels. So the importance of me bringing that up is because the second congressional hearings that are going to be on November 13th, Jeremy Corbell mentioned that we will learn about the nature of Immaculate Constellation, and so that's a big one. So far, as far as I know, the only confirmed person that's going to be testifying is Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet. I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of others, or maybe not a bunch, but hopefully at least more than 3 people to testify. It looks like it might be someone who is involved or the whistleblower of this specific report with Schellenberger. For those of you who don't know that this is going to be the second congressional hearing, the first one was last year in July of 2023, and that's where David Grush made his testimony about the UAP programs. I've actually started to talk about this topic with people outside of the community and outside of my family, and I talked about this to 2 acquaintances, both of them being in like their, I would say like I know they're in their late 50s, early 60s. And so I opened up and told them about my interest in UFOs, and one of them did start the regular ridiculing thing, but I like him. He's a good friend. I see him often, and I don't expect everyone to believe in it or be interested in it. So I started talking to them about it. Like I said, one of them kind of shut down and got on his phone and didn't talk or say anything really back except for a couple of joking type remarks, which is fine. The other person, though, was a little shocked. I could see it in his face that he was, at first he was making jokes as well. But when I mentioned congressional hearings and military personnel, scientists, physicists, pilots of the military, obviously, that's when he kind of made a concerned kind of a face. And he also didn't know that the congressional hearing had gone on last year. He mentioned, if it's real, why wasn't it on regular like news channels? And I said, it wasn't on regular news channels, and you can find it online. It was covered by News Nation, and so he was still thinking like, oh, it could be AI. I mean, obviously he was joking, I think, at that point. But it really opened up my eyes to just how little people actually know about the topic. Like I said, I also mentioned that there are a few astronauts that have talked about this. He was completely shocked, and we spent an hour talking about basic information like this. And so I think he really sort of took the ridicule part out of it and was asking some really, really good questions. And one of the questions that I would like to ask him the next time that I see him, because I do see them weekly, is if this is proven to be true, what would you care about this topic? Or even if this was proven to be true, would you still not care? It's a topic that I think I've noticed at least about 50% of the people that I talk to this about don't really think that it's an important topic, regardless of whether or not it's real. And I think that's something that we need to focus on. If people don't know why this is important, they're not going to think that it's important. And so I really want to try to spread the word as to why this is important. This topic is going to affect all areas of our livelihood: economics, education, societal, science, psychology, ecology, biology, everything. And so I think if people are more aware of how this can affect us, then they're going to pay more attention. Part of our duty as the UFO community is to try to not just discuss this topic amongst ourselves, but start to talk about it with other people. It is difficult to do. It is difficult to not be met with ridicule, but it is something that we are all going to have to face at one point. And for those people that are not ready for it, they're just not ready for it. I didn't push the other person. He decided to not have any comments or conversation, and that's fine. I didn't push that on him. And I think just him being near us and hearing it possibly will get him interested at some point. Or if they're very good friends, and so if one of them is interested and we're seeing more events happening like the congressional hearings, perhaps it'll get the other person interested in it. This actually got me thinking, I'd really like for you guys to let me know where you are in your journey. Are you longtime believers, longtime skeptics? I welcome everyone. As long as you're being respectful, everyone is entitled to their opinion. But for those of you that are just getting into this and just finding little rumors or hearing little things and looking this up, it can be pretty overwhelming. There's a lot of information. I think it's probably easiest to start with like what people call like the nuts and bolts part of it. So that's like the sightings or the craft, or talking to or seeing people that have seen these crafts, like the pilots and things like that. That's, I think, the first part of encountering this. Then it gets into like abductions and telepathy with the beings. That can be pretty difficult to listen to if you've never gone into that topic before. So I do want to know from you guys, I want to know where you're at. Are you new to this? Have you been interested in this type of information for a long time? And where do you stand on your conversations with your family and your friends? Have you kept it to yourself? Have you tried to open up and have the conversation with them? I find that so far from what I'm getting is presenting them with things like the government, which is kind of funny because I feel like a lot of people don't trust our government. And yet, if you tell them, oh, well, we had a congressional hearing and we have congressmen that are actually pushing for disclosure, they look at it twice. So try different ways if you're willing to talk to family and friends about this, because it's coming. So for those of you that want to start talking about this with friends and family, give them some of the information regarding Congress and the congressmen and women that are pushing for disclosure on the topic, and I think they will or might look twice at it. Another point that Jeremy and George Knapp mentioned in this episode was that the Wilson memos are real. That had already been more or less confirmed, but it is nice to hear it again from those two since they are the OGs. Another thing they mentioned is their concern about where the word or the acronym ARV popped up from, that they mentioned something about it being from an untrustworthy source or something along those lines. Just in case you're not aware of what ARV is, it's just an alien reproduction vehicle. So essentially it's what was reverse engineered from an alien spacecraft, and it's the product of that. So that's what they meant by that. But they were both alarmed by the use or the emergence of this word. I don't actually know where it emerged from either. I'll do a little bit of investigation there, and I don't know why that is specifically significant. All right, so this one was a quick one. I just wanted to go over what was talked about in the Weaponized podcast. I'm sure I missed a lot. There was a lot of information in there, and I will listen to it again. I was listening to it while I was at work, so I was not really able to catch everything. But tell me what you guys think. Tell me what you guys think about the episode. Tell me what you guys think about this Immaculate Constellation. Anyway, that's basically it for today. It's a short one. When I do a little bit more research on the Immaculate Constellation, I'll get back, and I'm going to be posting a mix of things, stuff for new people, stuff for people that have been here for a long time. I think it's important that we try to get other people outside of the community to look at this. And so give me your ideas. What do you guys think is going to help people that are outside of this community to look into this? I thought it would be the congressional hearings, but maybe you guys have other ideas. I want to know. Leave them in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and don't forget to keep an open mind. Bye.